Good morning again. We are back at the Life Development Center, that is Sigma Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I'm Robin Mary. We're having conversations this morning, community conversations as we're calling them, as part of our 22 acts of service in honor of our founding of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And we've been busy all week. We're continuing today on Martin Luther King Jr. Day right here at our Life Development Center. And so now we're switching our conversation. As part of our 5-point programmatic thrust, we talked about economic development this morning. We've also talked about educational development. Now we're turning gears to talk physical and mental health. And today it's We Are All Treasures as we talk about blood and organ donation today. So I've got joining me an even more amazing panel of ladies. From before we started with 2 on our panel, then we moved to 3, and now we have 4 members on our panel right now. So we're excited about that. Sylvia Weiner was our organ donor. She donated a kidney to her sister some years ago. We also have Miss Sherry Bro. Just raise your hand, Sherry, so we know who you are. Sherry Bro is with the Our Lady of the Lake Blood Donation Center. And Stephanie Green, who is an organ recipient. She received a kidney some 5 years ago. So thank you for joining us, Miss Stephanie Green, as well as Kiana Cropper Patev, who is a nurse practitioner and member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So ladies, good morning and welcome. Good morning. Yes, glad you're participating as part of our 22 acts of service. We are busy all over the Baton Rouge community, and today we're right here at our very own studio in our building at right here at 688 Hardy Boulevard. So if you want to stop by and join us, we are here on the campus of Southern University this morning celebrating MLK. So we're going to get started with each of you. I want you to share a little bit about yourselves and your journey in this space of organ and blood donation. So Sylvia, we'll start with you because you donated your kidney to your sister 2 years ago.
Yes, it was December 12, 2000 that I donated a kidney to my sister. It was interesting because several months before that, she called me and asked me about donating a kidney. She was a lupus patient for many, many years, and it had started to affect her kidney. She was just about to get ready to go on dialysis, and the doctor told her that if she could receive a kidney, that she wouldn't have to go on dialysis. So then the doctor told her that most of the best recipients were receiving living donors, and that siblings were usually the best donors. So of course she called me her only sibling. And when she called me, I said, of course. And so many people told me that they thought that was really scary that I said it so quickly, but I thought, why not? It's my sister. So on December 12th, but before that, I had to do lots of testing. So I know that the nurse practitioner can tell you that there's lots of testing that's done before that. First, they found out that I had the right blood type, and that they told me after all of the testing that I was the perfect match. They did the testing in Baton Rouge, but then I traveled to San Francisco because my sister lived in the Bay Area, and that's where the actual transplant took place. So that was in 2000, in the year 2000, and for almost 16 years, she was a different person. It was like she was reborn. And she passed away in 2016, but it was from a heart aneurysm. It wasn't from the kidney. And we always call that her other birthday. So we celebrated December 12th for years after that transplant because she said she was reborn after she received the kidney. She started doing all kinds of things that she hadn't been able to do for years. And the kidney back. Wow. So that's great. So, and I just felt very honored to be able to do that.
I'm going to switch, just hop over you just for a moment, Sherry, because on the heels of that, I want to talk about being the recipient of a kidney. So Stephanie, I'm coming to you. Okay. Stephanie Green, who was an organ recipient who received a kidney. Tell us your story. And I know everybody who's watching us is wondering what these little puffy things are. These are our microphones. And so you see Stephanie, she's got a microphone in her hand.
After microphone.
Yes, ma'am.
I found out I had a kidney problem. I was diagnosed with PKD, which is polycystic kidney, when I was pregnant with my first son. And I didn't really do anything about it. But when I came from the Little Baton Rouge, I started seeing a doctor here. And that's when I found out that my kidney would fail when I become 50. And I kind of got upset with the doctor. I said, I'm almost 50. He said, yeah. He said, I'm just a direct person. So I said, okay, so I guess I don't remember what it was, but a few years later, they said my kidney was starting to fail, and they suggested dialysis. They showed me dialysis films and what kind of dialysis. I decided I didn't want to see any blood, so I decided to do the dialysis that's to the stomach. I forgot the name. Peritoneum. And I had been on that for like almost 4 years. And then one day when I was going to work on the 20th, they called and told me I had a kidney. I told her to stop fooling with me. And she said, yeah, you have to be here by 10 o'clock. Well, my other son had that same kidney problem. He was on dialysis. And the only thing I could do was get my youngest son that's getting here with us today to bring me to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, and I had to sit there for a day, and then I received my kidney.
Great, this is great. Sherry, I'm going to come back to you now. We're talking about organ donation with these two ladies that they've both given, one has given an organ, one has received, and you're here to really help promote blood donation and how critical that is. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, my name is Sherry. I work for Our Lady of Lakes Blood Donor Center, and I have for 27 years. Never thought this is what I would do. I wanted to be a nurse. But my heart was too tender to be a nurse. Death was hard for me, and we decided I needed to do something else. And I was actually working at a clinic on Goodwood, and they had an advertisement on our LinkedIn page to host a blood drive on the offsite. And I said, oh, I want to do that. And so I did, and I was very successful at it. About a week later, I happened to be in our Lake League again, and I seen a posting for a blood donor recruiter, and I said, oh, let me call the lady that I worked with. And I called her, and that was a Friday. On Tuesday, I interviewed with, at that time, the director, Mr. David Grimion. And on Thursday, he offered the job, and I've been doing blood donation recruitment for 25 years. I absolutely love my job. I get to meet ladies like you and work with groups like you that care but don't know where to start, but we want to do something. Our Lady of the Lake is the largest hospital-based blood bank in the entire United States.
Really?
Wow. We have most hospitals have outsourced it to some of the other blood banks that are just standalone and they go out and draw blood and sell it to the hospitals. We provide for our hospital, obviously, Lord St. Elizabeth, Lane, Women's Hospital, the Children's Hospital, that's very important to our community now. Keeps a lot of families home from traveling to St. Jude. It's a huge undertaking, but the community paid for most of that hospital. That's how important it is to us. And so we transfuse around 3,500 units of blood a month. We need to draw more than 100 units every day. Hosting a blood drive with a group like this, people of color don't realize that they're the largest base of type B blood. And it's not just African American people, it's the Hispanic people, the Indian people. That's where all the B's come from. I was telling the lady on the bus a little while ago before I came in here. I had the opportunity to meet a patient a couple of weeks ago that went to a college in Mississippi, and she had transferred to here, and she was sick and needed blood. And two of her friends came, traveled to see her, and they donated. One woman was their very first time. Lo and behold, they were both B's, exactly what she needed. And one of them said to me, I never knew that it was so rare. And B-type blood is extremely rare. But we find it in, as my coworker would say, brown people. They're the largest group. You very seldom see a white person with type B. Their O's or A's. And it's very important. And the education is so important that we're not taking your blood because we want to do something that may have been done in the early 1900s. You know, there's a lot of history there that has detoured this community from donating. And thinks it's passed down from their grandparents. We don't live in the 1900s anymore, and it's a precious resource. God gave it to us, and He gave us life, and we have the opportunity to give other people life by speaking out on. I told a young lady in the audience that it hurts more to stub your toe than it does to donate blood. Yeah, that's how it's true. All my high school kids who are so scared, all my high school blood draws come in the spring and right before graduation, and I usually go speak to them the week prior and start doing sign-ups, and I was like, the first time you kissed a girl, you were scared. It turned out okay. Giving blood is scary, but it's going to be okay. You're going to truly save somebody's life. And our turnover is so quick. Like today, the blood we draw, somebody from distribution will come to the bus. They're literally going to use an Igloo red ice chest with blood in it, take it to the hospital. We're going to send it off the tubes for testing, and by tomorrow, we'll be transfusing that blood to somebody. We go through it that quick. A simple ear surgery was not simple. But a simple knee surgery can use 1 or 2 units of blood of traumas. I've seen a young man use more than 70 units of 48 hours. So it's a true life source that only we can give as a gift to another human being. We can't manufacture it. We can give you a leg and an arm, we can give somebody else's kidney, but we can't, if we don't have it, we can't save lives. Thanks the Lord, in 25 years, I have never had to tell you, I'm sorry, we don't have it to send your transplant for your mom or your dad or your grandma. And it's, you just don't know that feeling until it's gone. And it's really not that fun. It is scary. Nobody likes to get stuck with people. There's no other way to do it.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for, giving us that. That's, thank you. That's, good to know. A lot of nuggets, I took notes.
Share them.
Yes, absolutely. Kiana Crocker-Potan, our nurse practitioner, you're the other half of the medical team sitting here today. Well, greetings to everyone. I am Kiana Crocker-Potan, a family nurse practitioner. And on my end of the spectrum, I do try to encourage patients and encourage community about the importance of organ donation and blood donation. And again, we never know we need it till we do. And although organ donation is not race, ethnic, or gender specific, however, we do find that it's closer matched with tissues when it's from your own ethnicity. So because we have a decrease of organ donation and blood donation in our brown communities, sometimes it's often difficult to match. So it's important for platforms like this to open the eyes to our community, to give us the knowledge and to realize that sometimes it's about helping other people and you never know you need it till you don't. And so that is why I get a chance to be on this wonderful platform this morning with these ladies to talk about how I see it on a medical standpoint and keeping ourselves healthy so that we can be able to donate and be able to give life to others. Thank you so much. Thank you all for your comments and getting us started on the discussion today. I want to go right into one of the biggest challenges that we face, and that is the stigma around organ donation. And even Sherry mentioned a little bit as well as to blood donation. There's a stigma in the African American community, and I think even the broader community about, well, what are you really going to do about this? This on my driver's license, because that's what we listed, and say that I'm an organ donor. What's really going to happen? What are you really going to do if I arrive at the ER or whatever the case may be that this takes over? What's really going to happen? So I'll start and I'll pass it down. Yes. So yes, Robin. Apparently, this is a huge stigma, and I didn't realize it until I put the star on my license, and I had family members to say, "Oh my God, you're going on the black market." I was like, "What is the black market?" And so it's the truth. And believe it or not, patients don't even like to give blood that they need to give for basic blood because they feel like we're putting them in research or we're doing something with their blood. So And it is, it's because of history, and like Ms. Sherry said, we don't live in the 1900s. But, you know, as a community, we have got to overcome those things. And there's been enough studies and enough evidence at this point to prove that you're not going on the black market, or we're not investigating you, and, you know, we're not putting chips in you by getting blood. So those are the things that we hear all day, every day. Very surprisingly, but you hear these things. I have patients that never ever want to give blood work, but how am I to be able to tell that your kidney is failing if you never get blood work, or when something happens, and then they're saying, well, I've been coming to you for 5 years and you never told me this, but I have no way of knowing if we can't shake your blood. So we don't do anything with your blood. So like Ms. Sherry said, within 24 hours, we began to use it for other people. It's tested to test for antibodies and to determine what type of blood type it is, and to make sure it is healthy and viable to give to someone else. So that's another deal with blood. Even patients that need it feel like, well, I need the blood because I may get very sick. One of the big stigmas is HIV with it. So it's tested and it's ran, and certainly, you know, we aren't going to inject or impose any other type of disease, you know, on you. So it's tested and it's clear of all of that. Even for the organ donation, like it's gone into like an organ bank. And when someone comes up that matches yours exactly, specifically, then that goes directly to you. So it is a stigma that we need to continue to help our community with, and to know that we're just helping each other. And think about it, if the shoe was on the other foot, you would want someone to do it for you. So yeah, thank you so much for that question.
Well, I've heard the stories about people being afraid of giving blood and even donating organs because they were scared something was going to happen to them. And I was scared also with blood transfusions because my son had to have one when he was real young, and I didn't want him to have one. And they had to talk to me to tell me that it was safe for him to have. So he had several, but he had one that year, and he survived. So I was all right with that. And with my family members, most of them weren't scared about giving a transfusion. It just wasn't my type. That's why I didn't get a lot of donation. If there wasn't my type, then one of my cousins had tried to donate, and when she found out she wasn't the type, she sort of got depressed about it because she was mad because she didn't give me a kidney. And I told her, don't worry about it. It's what the Lord has for me, and that's what's going to happen. And I was blessed with one, so I told her it's okay. So that's the only thing I can say about that.
I want Sylvia to respond before Sherry does in terms of the stigma, because this was your sister.
Yes.
And the stigma or anything get in your head to say, I might need my own kidney.
Let me tell you, the thing that was so interesting to me about it is that I had two different reactions from physicians. My primary care physician told me when I first told him what I was considering doing, he said, well, you 51 years old, you know, you might need that kidney. You know, and I was kind of surprised as a physician that he would tell me that. And then my OBGYN at the time told me, well, that's why God gave you two, so we can do it right on. So his attitude was totally different. And he told me that it was so safe and this kind of thing. But when I told friends that I was going to do that, they went, you know, aren't you scared? You know, aren't you afraid? And I said, no, I was never afraid. And, but I had so many people who told me that, you know, you might get sick or you might need your kidney later and all these kinds of things. So there was a lot of that kind of negative thing. But I think because it was my sister, a lot of people didn't, you know, they kind of stood back and said, you know, okay, she's doing this, you know, for her sister. But it's very interesting how different people feel about this. And even farther, my sister joined a support group after the transplant. And it was so interesting because she would call me and say, do you know how special you are? And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, there's so many people in this group who are saying that they had seven or eight siblings who would even get tested to see if they were a match because they were so scared. Wow. And I told her, I said, well, I guess I can understand that. And after that, she started getting me to go talk to groups and people who were considering it so that they wouldn't be afraid. You know? And I've done that several times. I said, look, you know, don't be so afraid of this. Just get tested and, you know, think about it it could be a good experience for you.
And I know this is taboo, and you may slap my hand, but you gave the kidney at 51. How old are you now?
75.
Wow. You're being slapped on the wrist.
No problem.
Yes, I just want to underscore that from 51 to 75, and all is well.
Yeah, and my sister was 53. So,
And she lived another
Yeah.
16
and
years.
you can actually be a kidney donor past 80. I mean, there's no age limit. There's no age limit. For it. A lot of people think you'll be too old and they don't want to put it in. So, well, I'm 70 years old. Why would I put that on my driver's license? I said, well, and speaking of the thing about driver's license, I put that on my driver's license years and years ago, but I never thought of being a living donor. I thought, okay, they can take my kidney after I'm gone, I don't need it, that organ anyway. So I never even thought about the idea that they were living donors, and so until this happened with my sister.
So I'm going back to you in a second, Sherry. But speaking of living donors and putting it on our driver's license, when we put it on our driver's license, that's usually in the case of, a sudden death or, a car accident or something like that. But if it's a natural death and you're an organ donor, it still works in that space as well.
It still works in that space. Like if you're in the hospital, like here in Louisiana, we have LOPA, and so you're registered, and it's it's in your paperwork as your advanced wills, your living wills, and so we know at the hospital in those cases, and so we know their time frames that we take after postmortem care, and we call over, they come and get the organs. It's a very, very smooth transition. The integrity of the body is well kept. They do it in such a manner, it doesn't even interrupt the process of the family. It's a very, very amazing, very smooth process. Lots to learn from that. And also, real quickly, Robin, one of the things I thought about too, as many advancements as we've had in healthcare, one of the things that we've done the same since I've been in healthcare a long, long time, and Sherry can probably speak to this. The process of transfusing blood in the hospital has not changed over years. And I will tell you, it is probably the safest process that we have as many times as it's checked. So there's a check and balance from the blood drive. And it's you're in the hospital and you see these things come through shoes and you see it's one of the only things that the nurse has to physically walk to the blood bank, wherever you are in the hospital, to retrieve that blood itself. So it's not going through all these hands like you think. So you're checking and you're doing the balance with it, with the blood bank person that's distributed. Then when you get to the floor, oftentimes the charge nurse looks at it. And then when you go in the room to give it, even with all the EMRs, and I know y'all think we scan and everything, even with that, the system stops you twice. You have to have another nurse with you before you can begin it. And then you have to check vital signs every 5 to 15 minutes for like the first hour. And so it's probably one of the most tedious, safest tasks we have in healthcare today.
It's great.
Thank you for that reassurance, because so many people who are listening don't often feel as comfortable going into a hospital setting, period. There's a level of anxiety. Yeah, I don't care what it is. I go to a hospital to visit someone, and there's a level of anxiety. Just going in to visit someone. So sharing that with us and giving us those reassurances, I think, are really important for people to hear, because, and advancements are happening so fast. But in the case of the transfusion, you're saying this is something that's been pretty age-old, that we've done over and over. It's time tested, if you will. Sherry, you said some things earlier about people of color. We have the largest B bank of blood. So I learned probably as an adult that I was B positive. I don't know where I got that out. So you're old. Okay. So and just my mom was old. I don't know how that came about. But B positive. How many variations of the B are there? Just
B positive.
Okay, just be positive, be negative. I don't like this be positive because I feel like I'm just being positive. Yeah, I thought like you were thinking for something. I can't be positive. There was a TV show about that. Y'all remember this
to stay on long. It was, I think that was the name of the show. Young lady was a kidney donor for her high school classmate, and she had led this pretty interesting life. She had to settle down in order to give him this kidney, and they formed a relationship. But saying all that to say, how often can we give blood? If we give today, how soon again can we give? Is this a monthly thing, a weekly? We can donate every 8 weeks.
Every 8
As soon as you give blood, your body starts reproducing those red cells. It's kind of like an oil change. Because like all those red cells start making, and like some people might feel a little tired that day, but the next day they're like, oh, I feel good. Because it's like those red cells go, oops, okay, come on, let's start making some new ones.
Okay.
So it starts regenerating, so it's the same amount of time.
All right, so who is not eligible to give blood? I know we always, encourage people to come, but who would be on the list that it's,
Anybody with current cancer diagnosis or sick with the flu. The first question, are you feeling well and healthy today? Then we ask, are you taking any antibiotics or anything for infection? And there's some travel questions, because some third world countries, we might need you to wait a year just in case you picked up a bug over there.
Okay.
Just a few. If there's no running water and they don't have flushing toilets, you probably have to wait a year. But most places like that we travel to, unless there's some reported cases, a certain amount of reported cases of malaria or something, those are usually not different.
But even if that is the case and someone comes in unaware that your testing levels would probably catch that along the way.
We started testing several years ago. Time flies. We started testing every unit of blood for certain antigens, and if, I'm sure somebody in here has seen a child with sickle cell crisis.
Yes.
There's only one way to help the child. That is through blood. Ironically, so there's a specific antigen in the blood that we test for to give to the sickest sickle cell children and adults. And the man upstairs always knows what he's doing. That antigen is usually only found in Caucasian people. But it's almost immediately makes a child feel better. Not to say that people of color don't have it, but it's likely. It's most likely a white male too. But that child is instantly feeling better. And working on kids, the years I did, seeing a child in seeing an adult in sickle cell crisis is horrible. But a child to not be able to fix their pain because it's internal. And that is the only way we can do it. I worked on kids for several years. There's always beds with sickle cell children. It's every day. And they find out all the time. The only donors can save them. There's nothing else. Am I right?
Absolutely. It's heartbreaking just to hear.
It is so, because they're type of really healthy children. And working on kids, you develop relationships with those families. And it's probably why I don't work on kids. Because those relationships hurt your heart sometimes.
Yeah, this is very emotional for all of us as we're listening to it and wanting to do more to help. I think at some point we just simply say, let me at least do my part.
Just do it.
Yeah, do whatever my part is. I can't save the world, perhaps.
You're going to get a t-shirt, some cookies, and a big thank you.
Did you say a cookie?
Yes, yes. And those lovely ladies out there will thank you because they know where it's going. And they know how much we're helping people. You just think they're phlebotomists on the old bus out there, but they know what they're doing. And they know who we're saving.
Wow. Kiana, coming back to our nurse. We have a question in the audience. Okay, before you respond, Kiana, yes, a burning question in the audience. Yes, please. Come.
studio audience member coming to be with our friend. And I'm going to Stephanie just for a second, because we see that Stephanie is, visibly, showing emotion related to this. And it is because, she has had a son with sickle cell, and what our baby's name, they passed a couple of years ago because of that. So she knows all about it. And this is the emotion because her and brother Brandon, who's in the audience with us, she's gone through all of those things to be able to see that. So she wouldn't be able to say that, but that's what we're seeing. The importance of having the blood given, the families that it truly affects, and how it continues to bring life when we do take a moment and just get that little prick. And it brings life to all the ones that are affected and have a part in it. So that's what we're seeing. We love you. You've been there with Stephanie, you're thick and thin, and she's done a whole lot. So we want to say thank you for your courage. And I'm going to turn the mic over and I'm going to get off again.
Thank you, Shai, as a member of Baton Rouge Stigma Alumni Chapter, former president of our chapter as well. So thank you for bringing some more information to us, bringing clarity to what we're seeing right here on our stage. It is so important. And I think that part of we just all did our part. We all just did a little something. Like I said, we can't save the world, but we can certainly move the needle a little bit in our own way. And that's what today is about. That's what our 22 acts of service are about. That's what Dr. Martin Luther King would have us to reiterate on and on as we continue to celebrate his life, his work, and we are helping our community doing this. And so I'm so very thankful that I have this opportunity to have this conversation today, to be in this space. And we didn't script this, y'all. This was very organic. Yeah, we had no prompts. We were just talking about this subject and wanted to bring life to this subject and make sure that our community is aware of what they can do in this area. So that said, yeah, oops, I'm sorry. Clutching my pearls. Kim, I wanted to turn to you to add. You were about to say something just a moment ago. I don't know about you.
That's what we were talking about, right? Let's see, we were talking about the sickle cell,
And blood transfusion.
and the blood transfusion and the blood types. And Sherry talked about the antigens. And then one of the other things that happens with sickle cell patients, especially the adult ones, because they're getting so many transfusions, they develop these different antibodies, so then it is more difficult to find blood for them. So that's another reason that they need so many different varieties as well.
I'm just thinking about this 8 weeks that Sherry said that we can give blood every 8 weeks. And I'm thinking about how I'm going to put that on my calendar
To do that every 8 weeks.
Okay, every 8 weeks is I go back. Go back. This is something that I can do.
You know, one of the things when I was younger and I was a Girl Scout and, you know, participated, if you heard about blood drives all the time. I think as a community, somewhere we've kind of fell back on pushing as many blood drives as much as we used to. It was a big deal, you know, so, and oftentimes now we'll hear it when, you know, there's a tragedy or something like that. But I think it's important that we as a community begin to kind of put that back in the forefront of making sure it's more important that we're doing, you know, the blood drives. And so we can have those stores that we need. Certainly, you know, ever-changing times that we're dealing with, it's important that we, you know, we keep it full. And I did not realize that the lake had the biggest store. I thought here in Louisiana, but for sure not, you know, globally. So that's very impressive to know.
We're very proud of our hospital, because most of them have given up. It's easier to outsource it so they don't have the rules, the FDA, all those things. That's a lot. Keeping up our buses, we need 3 new buses right now. They're $500,000 a piece, and we have used the heck out of these, as you can tell. And we're hoping to get 2 new ones next year, but there's a lot to it. It's easier for a hospital to just outsource it to somebody. We are. I mean, we're very proud of our hospital based. It's immediate. We can draw it transfusing, like, we're seeing patients recover, like, it's right there. It's not like using an independent source that, it's not a hospital, they're providing it to multiple hospitals, you know, I can connect the donor and the patient. They can't do that. I can call you next week and say, your blood went to a 52-year-old kidney transplant recipient. Like, I can tell you that, I can tell you their names, but I can tell you where they are. Wow. Because we have that, we complete the circle.
So we have a few audience questions. I want to make sure we get to before we run out of time. So we'll start right here.
And I do have a question, I do have a comment.
Can you speak up for us?
Oh, when I lived in New York, it was something that one of you said about us being scared. And I needed a blood transfusion. I was doing a lot of work and I was losing a lot of blood. And I fainted in Manhattan, like on the sidewalk in Manhattan. And I was always a person that said, like, I don't want to ever donate blood. I was so scared. The hospital was just so scared. But the doctor said that, you know, if you would not have come in, you would have lost so much blood that it would have been a different situation. And so I do want to, you know, encourage people that are skeptical about it. Like you said, oftentimes you don't know that you need it until you need it. And that transfusion actually saved my life.
We have some real life testimonies in here of what organ and blood donation can do. It's not just something out there, you know, like it's those people right here on stage in our studio right now, who could definitely attest to this work and the importance of it, and really trying to rise above the fear. You know, talked about the fear, the stigma, and then just the history as it relates to the medical practice. You know, some years ago, we evolved from that. We hope we'll continue to evolve from that. But it's still vestiges of that in the minds of citizens. We recognize that. I don't want to discount that fear and that place that they come from, what their awareness is of the situation. Any other questions in the audience?
So,
Oh, right up here. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
I just want to know, you spoke about feeling restless and tired. Are there any other side effects that you can anticipate once the blood has been donated, or how can you aid in the recovery process going forward?
So we always tell our donors to eat a good meal before donating. Drink plenty of fluids, because you're gonna lose 500 mils is what we take. It's not a lot, but it's enough to save life, but you should be hydrated and then just eat a good meal afterwards. It's just about what you should normally do. Just eat a good meal, replace the fluids.
Okay.
And that's where the cookie and the juice come.
So a good meal before, good meal after, some of your fluids both before and after.
Yes.
And you may feel a little tired, your body grabs right back up to replace those absent blood cells. That's good information. I was trying to capture that in a short form so that we can remember this. It's not scary. It's something that I think we can all do. And certainly, at least once or twice.
It's not as hard. It's scary. But you need to do it the first time. It's scary. So knowing that you can do it to save life, you don't know whose life you're saving or what they can do with that life you saved.
How long is the process to donate blood?
The questions take about 5 minutes. The needles usually on 5 to 10 minutes at tops. So the whole process is 20 to 30 minutes. Because we can chop it too. We live in Louisiana, so we all like
Conversation out of this as
That's
well.
right. We want to know about you.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here. I think we're right up on our time. I want to thank you. I always thank you as well, you know, the platform out there. Thank you for being here. We had so much conversation today, and I think we understand the subject better when we got in last week. I'm so sorry. I certainly understand it better now than I did before. So, Sylvia, Stephanie, Sherry, so we have all S's here. Sylvia, Sherry, Stephanie, and Kiana. Thank you all for being here today so much. And we will get more on our website as well. You can find us at brsigma.org for more information. And the 22 acts of service that we're doing in celebration of our founding of our organization here at Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Thank you all to the audience that's here with us today. Thank you for being here. And certainly those of you who are online watching us, we appreciate you joining us. And I did not ask if there were any questions online. Any questions or comments online?
There were none.
We hope to see you at the blood drive. We will be here. Our blood drive will be going on until 2:30 this afternoon at 688 Harding Boulevard, right here. Life Development Center for Baton Rouge Sigma Alumni, and we're across the street from Southern University, so come on over. And we're going to have our president come by, and I'm not sure. Oh, we're trying to get 50 units of blood. Yes, we're trying to get 50 units of blood today. Not sure where we are right now, but 50 units is what we're aiming for. And I think we can get that done. We got people in the audience, we got us on stage, we got some others in the community, and you're watching right now as well. So come on and join and get us, help us get to that 50 units of blood today. And our president is going to close us out. Bernice Singleton, please share.
So I am back and I have been just enjoying the conversation today. I was not in the room for educational development, but I was listening online in the other room. And I was excited about that conversation, as a couple of those ladies are my colleagues in education. This panel was great as well. I do believe in the idea of giving life by giving blood as well as being an organ donor, so that's very important. And I just want to remind you of all of the other events that we have going on here in the community. Of course, we are collecting items here at the Life Development Center, underwear and socks for students at Capital Middle School. We are collecting period products for various schools across the East Baton Rouge Parish. We're also collecting blankets for the homeless, the unhoused, so please bring those blankets as well. We are also accepting food and period products at Park Forest Middle School until 1:30. So please head out if you're in the Park Forest area or anywhere on that side of town. Or you can come up here to Southern University to Pinky Thrift Hall. Originally we said the Intramural Center, but everything should go to Pinky Thrift Hall if you want to donate to the 2 refrigerators here on the campus of Southern University, as well as the water donation at the Southern University Beta Hall for the Inland Jukebox, as we want to support them as they are gearing up for parade season. We want to make sure that they stay hydrated, water or Gatorade or Powerade. So please participate in those various acts as we are partnering with all of those organizations. And the last thing I don't want to forget is the book drive. Literacy Matters. The book drive for Ryan Elementary. Go onto the Amazon registry and look for Macumba Reads with Ryan Elementary. We are trying to get about 80 more books for Ryan Elementary so we can reach our goal to restock that library and provide opportunities for those students to read. So we just want to thank you all for joining us today. Continue to follow our social media at BR Sigma DST. Go to our website, brsigma.org. We're going to post all of the resources that you heard about today. We'll also post them on our socials as well so that you can have access to those. And we just want to thank you again. And remember, today is a day of service as we honor the legacy of Martin Luther King and as we are honoring the founding of our sorority 112 years ago, 1913 at Howard University.